Hey everybody, I'm here with my friends Omar Serrato, the Tilted Lawyer, and Carol from Docket Updates, who attended today's pretrial conference in the Lively versus Wayfarer case. She's going to help us go through a little bit of a recap of what happened. Since, I mean, we saw the live, most of us who are, I did, and then most people who are watching this probably saw the live Twitter feed, but, you can only get so much in tweets during that time. I mean, it was a long hearing, so I think Carol has a whole presentation with us she's going to go through, but I guess my first question for Carol is anything like crazy stand out to you that you that jumps to your mind right away?
I keep pointing this out, but when the judge asked, you put the sealing on the letter, like what is it that you want to seal? The Lively lawyer, which is Ezra Hudson, said, we don't want to seal anything. We just want to seal the birth video. And the judge then asked, well, what does the defense say? And Ellen Garofalo said, we have no privacy concerns in regards to the birth video.
Well, all right. Yeah.
So that was like mic drop moment. Yeah.
I think Omar probably remembers this, but this was a couple months back. There was this argument over Natasha Heath's whole birthing process video being given to Blake Lively versus just the bit of a clip that she saw. And so now I guess the Wayfarer parties are like saying, no, don't seal that. And I guess that's because they think it's better for the jury to see that and to judge that it was not pornographic than to keep it sealed and to have them be able to imply that it was.
What was the argument way back when? It was like, hey, she only wants to show this one clip. It's like, no, show the whole thing. If you're going to show it, show the whole video.
She saw a short clip of it that was after the birth happened. So the baby's in the video. So there was no birthing going on. But she said, no, that's not the video I remember seeing, because she described it as pornographic. So she wanted all of their birth footage from all of their devices during that time. And the lawyers, I guess, I think from what I remember, you kind of explained it to me that they didn't think to argue that they needed to exclude the entire birthing footage because Blake Lively had never seen that before. So, but then they got it on a technicality that they had to turn it over.
I remember talking to Cassidy about this, and that was one of the things that Cassidy got really emotional about. And,
I mean, it's a really shitty thing. So,
yeah, it's there's so many of those moments in this case that hit certain people differently. Like if you have a propensity to be emotional, there's like many of these like little landmines in the case that affect people like that, and that was one of them.
Yeah. Somebody says, Carol, you must be exhausted. Thank you for doing this recap. And I was thinking the same thing. Carol just got back home, I think.
Yeah, I just arrived. I was like, I may look a little rough, guys.
You look fine. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to pull up this presentation Carol made. I think you said it was like at least the first part of the hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I this is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages in, and this is 6 pages of my notes is what I was able to pull on the air, on the flight.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's cool. I mean, whatever you have for us, we can start going through this here. So what is this expert damages overview? What was going on?
So it started with Wayfarer talking about the Kinrich reports and the damages. He's the loss in profits and loss in royalties expert. And their push was his numbers are too speculative and too wide range of variability or uncertainty is the word that Fabian used. Uncertainty. He said he went from 39 million to 143.5 million. So that spread is too much uncertainty, essentially. And so he believes that the methodology described is speculative. He says that the projections were based, I think if you slide to the next one, you can.
A hypothetical sequel with It Ends With Us.
Was that this expert?
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah. That's the next, like 2 slides over.
Gotcha. I don't know if it'll let me move the slides. Oh, yeah, it will. It will. Okay, there we go. This is slide 2. Do you want me to keep going?
Oh, wait, let's see. Yeah, so they pointed out that the projections were based on Family Hive that had only been open a few days in August, and they used 3 days of sales for that projection. And that's just not reliable. And Betty Buzz, they have a 1-year-old benchmark, and he'll expand on that a little bit, but essentially that they have no established profit history to consider, and that it was just again, uncertain is the word that he used.
Okay.
And I think you could slide to the next one.
Did they allude to how they're going to prove those damages though? Because I get the speculative part, but did they preview that they plan on making it less speculative with the following, and then like present some kind of a thing?
No, that's exactly what they approached, or they tackled on. They were like, look, he didn't do an independent analysis. He based it on this Deloitte. I don't know if I spelled it right. I didn't even look it up. But he said they didn't conduct independent interviews at the company. They just compared it to celebrity-backed brands. And something that stood out to me was that Fabian, Wayfarer's attorney, said some celebrity brands fail, and they're just essentially accounting for all celebrity brands succeeding. And he's like, and that's just not the realistic, right?
Well,
and
this is not her first go around with a celebrity backed brand failure. It's like, didn't she try to make Preserve, that very much old style Southern brand, like as a competitor to Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, which was extremely successful. Gwyneth's was, and then Blake's was not. So this is not her first failure as far as that goes.
Yeah. Well, he does go into that, and he says that as a matter of fact, Betty Buzz had been open for a year and they still hadn't succeeded. So he's like, and so it had nothing to do with anything that the defendants did.
Can you tell me, is Betty Buzz, was that the non-alcoholic one?
Betty Buzz? No, I think that's the alcoholic one.
Okay, because there's Betty Booze, right? And Betty Buzz?
Booze is a non-alcoholic one.
I just remember it made no sense to name the non-alcoholic one whatever they named it, and I was just kind of like, why would you brand a non-alcoholic drink Betty Booze or Betty Buzz? I'm like, that okay.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's Betty Buzz, because I'm like, you're right, because of the buzz makes it sound like you're gonna get a buzz from it or something.
That's probably not something that sober people are going to want to drink because it sounds like it's alcoholic. And then it's not something that, people who drink alcohol are going to want to drink because it's not alcoholic. So it's kind of like, there's so much setup to fail there.
Yeah, Betty Buzz is not alcoholic, Kenny said in the comment section.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the appeal though? Could I ask, what is the appeal of a non-alcoholic beverage? Like, why would you want to drink something that specifically does not have alcohol?
Like a sparkling grape juice or something? I don't know, if you like don't drink alcohol and you want to celebrate on like New Year's Eve or something, like, some people will do like sparkling grape juice.
You give that to kids or whatever, but like an O'Doul's or something, like a non-alcoholic, like a non-alcoholic beer. What is the appeal? I'll never.
Non-alcoholic beer is nasty.
I agree. Like, what's the point of that? Or like a non-alcoholic whiskey. If they're making like these non-alcoholic cocktails, like, what is the point? Why? Just get like a I don't know.
Just drink a Shirley Temple.
Just drink like a Shirley Temple or like the pina colada. Just get like a coconut shake or something. Like, what are you doing?
Oh no, we should ask Carol. Carol, do you like non-alcoholic beer?
No, I prefer it spiked. No, I'm just kidding.
I have a spiked O'Doul's. How about
you gotta spike that with White Claw.
Have one of them buzz balls. That's the new thing.
All right, we're distracting our leader here. Go ahead.
No, but essentially, another part of the valuation was based on a maximum effort investment. So they're saying like you can't base it off of maximum effort.
Right. Best case scenario, buddy.
Yeah, that's like give
me a high and a low and a mid. We're not.
I don't know how to describe it, but it's.
Maximum Effort is Ryan Reynolds' marketing company, yes?
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So it can't be as reliable because it's Ryan Reynolds' company. They could have just done it. Her husband
was the one valuing the product. Is that what we're looking
like
at?
Them investing in it? So the valuation was created for Maximum Effort to buy into it. So that feels like, hey, I'm selling my house. I'm going to sell it to my cousin and my cousin's willing to pay. $600,000 when the house is worth $200,000, you know?
Yeah.
and then going to market and saying someone's willing to pay $600,000 for it.
It's my husband.
It's my husband. Right. That's I think that's, I mean, they didn't say it like that, but that's what I took away from it.
Hey, you want to know a preview of what's likely to happen at trial? Were you in the courtroom where they were talking about Blake Lively mocking the Princess Catherine Photoshop thing?
Mm-hmm.
Was that today?
Yeah, that was today.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually went like, oh, they went there.
Yeah.
Pointing out, hey, it's not our fault that Blake Lively is a well-known dick.
Yeah, they actually pointed it out, and
damaged her own reputation.
I think I was like, oh my God, I was shocked at that piece, in that part of it, because he was like, you know, they said when I think they used the word bullying when Blake Lively bullied Princess Catherine. And I was
after
like,
her the cancer diagnosis was revealed or whatever.
Ooh, yeah, that was bad.
And then she had to walk that back and try to apologize and make it better. And then she got her own negative press off of that.
That was like right around the launch of her brand. Is that right? Or did I make that up?
I think it was because he used it as like, you know, these experts didn't account for these moments.
Right.
And they should be able to try to account for these moments and disprove that they couldn't be part of the reason why, you know, there was, I guess, causation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So he says she could apologize. A DFJ says she could apologize to the princess, but not to Flo. Imagine if she had just apologized to both. We would not be sitting here right now. Like, I genuinely believe that. I think if she had just I think she could have either A, apologized after the Flaw interview went viral, or B, just doubled down and been like, you know what? Fuck that. I had a bad day 10 years ago. Who cares? And we would not be here if she'd done either one of those things. But instead, she decided to turn around and say, everyone who's criticizing me over this is being gaslit. So that's kind of how we ended up where we are today.
If she could, she probably would try to spin that in a different way. You know?
Yeah, maybe.
Is there anything that you guys have seen about the hearing today that you guys have a question of, like, oh, you know, wish we could know a little bit more there, or people in the comments, if you guys have heard something you guys would like to?
Well, if I were to be a fly on the wall, like if I was there, I'd have been most interested in the attorney's demeanor when they were trying to convince the judge that there's going to be like $135 million in damages. And then Baldoni's attorney is basically saying, yeah, that's pie in the sky bullshit. What are you talking about? Speculative, nothing to base it off of. You're dreaming, whatever. And like how they reacted to that, whether they were steadfast in their number or whether they kind of knew that they were walking on thin ice with the judge and just let it go.
No, I think all the attorneys were very confident, very concise in how they presented it. A little bit rocky was certain points for like Lively, because I think that they were getting a lot of pushback because the burden's on them, right, to prove this and to go beyond the preponderance of what is it called? I don't know the term, but yeah. So when the judge was grilling into them, he kept saying like, walk me through this, like help me understand. I did think that and I pointed this out in DFJ's earlier live, I did think that was a little bit of a kinder approach than how he's treated Wayfarer in the past. He's just been like, well, you know, it could be small potatoes, but that doesn't mean blah, blah, blah. And he just kind of feels almost like a sharp response versus, hey, well, walk me through your thought process. Help me think about this. He was a little bit kinder.
There's reasons for that. Like in the prior hearings, prior motions, prior oral arguments, like it was literally like what gets to survive all the way to trial. And now we're here. And so all these things necessarily are in and haven't been sufficiently excluded. And so therefore it makes sense that he's been a little bit more relaxed, because we're not trying to rule whether or not it's in or out. I just want to understand what you're going to use it for at this point. Like, for example, there was a couple of experts. I know that Lively is presenting Aaron Colota. Is it Colota?
Yes.
And Dina Maislin, what is she purporting there to talk about? What was the discussion like surrounding the experts?
Okay, so we're skipping a little bit ahead of it.
Pardon me, if you're going to get there, you could just carry on and I'll just be quiet. How about that?
No. We can
Shut
talk
up.
about this. I did with one of the experts, the argument of like these family hive with the hair products and how it was like the best Target sales in history, and they did 7 million their first week. The judge pushed back on that, and he said, and I quote, well, we're comparing apples to oranges here. He said, sometimes the quarterly sales can be negative while the weekly sales are good. So we can't necessarily say just because they had one good week, the projection's always going to support that high number that they were trying to get at, which is that 35 million to 143.5 million that they wanted to get at. And let me see with the Aaron Collada, I'm a little bit ahead.
So my understanding is Collada is supposed to be brought in to talk about studies regarding online harassment.
Yes. And what he pointed out a lot was because there was a high uptick in likes of the comments, like that's what makes it questionable. Not necessarily that proves organic versus organic. It's more like, oh, that doesn't really happen. It's distinguished. And so the defendants were like, well, that's not really what you got to show. You got to show that this is inorganic versus organic. That's the whole point. And if you just say, well, that's interesting, that's going to confuse the jury. You can't just point that out as, well, that's an interesting thing. Like we can't, I forgot the word that they used, but they can't just use that. They have to make the distinction of like, organic versus organic.
Unusual versus inorganic. It's not the same thing.
That's
Where
the
like
thing.
unusual is like you could have an unusual scenario just because celebrities are involved, and it's not like a normal like boring dull politician thread. It's like a shocking scandal, so you're going to get an unusual amount of likes on that post, but that's not necessarily inorganic. Is that kind of what they were getting at? Or?
Yes, that's exactly what they were getting at. That's the word that they used, actually, unusual. And he's like, if he comes on to say this, that's going to confuse the jury, and it's not really any kind of like scientifically backed. He can't definitively say it's organic versus organic. It's just unusual, and that's why we can't present it to the jury that way.
Unusual is positive. I'm assuming that was probably the tenor of the conversation. Like they're basically going to talk about. My understanding of it is they're there to talk about patterns that lead to the telltale signs of online harassment or PR manipulation that leads to negative press, and somehow that's going to support Lively's theory of a smear campaign or some kind of negative influencing PR campaign against her that's causing all of these bad reviews. And all they're going to do, I'd imagine, I know they have their expert and they're going to talk in opposition to that, but they're basically, my guess based on what I'm seeing, just reading the tea leaves, is they're going to bring in example of reasons why the public generally hated Blake Lively before any of this came to light, before this lawsuit, and how she was responsible for her own bad press. And unusual does not mean dispositive. And the earmarks or the patterns that are being deciphered by these so-called experts, I don't want to say so-called, they probably are experts on something. One's a computer scientist, one's supposed to be like a marketing professor. Right. But these patterns are not dispositive of whether or not Wayfarer had anything to do with the smear campaign against Blake Lively. She very well, by her own merit, could have conjured up organically these bad markers or patterns based on recent events, like the cancer thing, like the bullying stuff, like all these other examples. I'm sure that they're preparing to set forth a trial to rebut Lively's experts. Apologize for the rant.
No, that's actually.
I know. I heard that Lively brought up Wayfarer's litigation conduct and tried to say that the Wayfarer parties brought forth a sham lawsuit. Did the Wayfarer parties at all argue that Lively's litigation conduct was, something that might bring her some bad press, or no?
Well, they tried to use that the complaint that the judge dismissed as that being retaliatory. And I think that they were relying mainly, the way that I understood it, and again, guys, I'm not an attorney, but the way that I felt it in the court and like the way that it was laid out, Gottlieb was trying to say, like, you dismiss this and you sanctioned or you reprimanded Friedman for the defendants that shouldn't have that claim under them. So he kind of wanted to put those two things together and say it's retaliatory because those there's a Rule 11 on it. And I don't think the judge gave them a lot of pushback on that. And there was one point where he kind of said that Gottlieb cornered himself into, he painted himself into a corner with the Ashley Humphreys question of like, is this expert, should that expert come in for the Brian Friedman statements? He's like, because it didn't really make sense to him. So he gave them a lot of pushback for that. And Katie even said in her coverage of it that, you know, she got to sit where the jurors sit because that's where that she got to have front seat, and she was like,
the press box, or
yes, the press box. And he's like,
I'm sorry, why did he bring up Rule 11?
Because of the judge gave them Rule 11,
the sanctions,
reprimand. Yeah,
right.
for
I'm asking, like, who is on, like, why did sanctions come up?
I think you might have missed this one, Omar, but the judge gave Friedman basically a reprimand, kind of like
he denied the sanction, but granted like a reprimand.
So no monetary sanctions or anything were awarded. He said that Lively wasn't really subjected to any hardship based on the impropriety that occurred, but he said that there were pleading issues based on the fact that the Wayfarer parties said that like Steve Sarwitz and Melissa Nathan were party to the contract claims when Steve and Melissa never had a contract with Blake Lively. So it was pleaded improperly. And so they're, I guess, trying to say that there was a frivolous lawsuit because of that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the thing that I'm confused about with that, Carol, and I don't know if they brought this up at all, is so Melissa and Steve and everyone that Brian received a reprimand on behalf of as their attorney, they're no longer defendants in this lawsuit. So that's why I'm confused, because I'm like, Wayfarer Studios, I didn't think, was Wayfarer Studios one of the ones that they were reprimanded for?
No.
Or It Ends With Us movie? Or I know Justin Baldoni wasn't. They weren't reprimanded for anything with Justin Baldoni. So like, does it matter that they were reprimanded for defendants who are no longer part of the case?
Well, the way that Gottlieb was trying to present it was like, you did reprimand them and it should be considered retaliatory. And he didn't really say like, separate these people that shouldn't have been part of that claim and that part is retaliatory. He was trying to like lump it all as being retaliatory. But Ellen Garofalo was like, no, our claim wasn't baseless. We actually had a chance to replead. And Wayfarer wasn't reprimanded, you know, because they presented powerful evidence that that they had that Blake Lively leaked stuff to the New York Times prior to the CRD complaint being filed. And so that could lead to the statements that Brian Friedman said.
That's where I'm getting confused, is like kind of what you just said, is like the remaining defendants. I'm like, they had a legitimate sort of line to their claim, whereas the people who have been dismissed from the lawsuit maybe didn't. But like, so why would they be able to use that to show retaliation against the remaining defendants who, by all accounts, did not do the wrongdoing there?
Because Gottlieb was trying to lump it all in. He didn't make that distinction. He just said, Judge, you ruled and said that this was reprimandable.
Michael Gottlieb is not my favorite person. I mean, I maybe put him a step above Ezra Hudson, who still hasn't answered my email about why she tried to subpoena my credit card number. But, you know, it is what it is.
When did you email her? Was that the same one you sent like a year ago or something like that?
Dude, it was back in July. No, they never answered me about that. And you know what the thing is? Like, people will still say, like, they were trying to link the Wayfarer parties, or like not the Wayfarer parties. They were trying to link social media users to this retaliation claim by the Wayfarer parties, saying videos were boosted and stuff like that. But they never subpoenaed my analytics. They never asked for anything that would show boosting. They asked for my credit card number, which I used to buy stuff. They asked for my location data from before I ever, talked about Blake Lively on YouTube when I was in a different country visiting. Like, it was just like stupid shit like that. I'm just kind of like, I can't take these sanctions requests from these people seriously. Like, it's really, you're gonna have an uphill battle for me to get you to really take any of their complaints with any sort of honesty behind them, to be honest. So
you know what I don't think anybody's really talking about, and anybody really realizes, but you realize that Justin Baldoni, his individual liability in all of this is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we've been talking about that nonstop.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, excuse me.
Well, I mean, everybody that you see in like an Instagram or a Twitter comment section on like a TMZ or a big high profile news legacy media type website is going to keep saying Justin Baldoni. They don't care that
the questions I get is like, hey, what's the chances that Justin Baldoni is going to lose and this and that? It's like, he's no longer
no, there's no chance.
No personal liability in this whatsoever. He's out of the lawsuit.
Right.
Which, may or may not be a good thing, because now, like, he doesn't have a right to individually put on his own case. But, maybe that's doesn't really matter because Wayfarer is still there. Everybody else is still there. I'm just saying, Justin Baldoni, his liability is toast. It's done. It was over with the MSJ. It's done. Finished.
Yeah.
And that's Blake Lively has been defeated by Justin Baldoni. I just don't think, I don't think most people understand that at this point, which I understand why it's confusing because lawsuit is ongoing and we're prepping for a trial. But we say Lively versus Baldoni, but Baldoni is no longer a thing in this lawsuit.
I think as for some people though, it's a little bit of a, in my opinion, kind of a controversial maybe take, but like Baldoni, when people look for news about this case, even supporters of Baldoni, they look for his name and face. So I do think for smaller creators and people who are talking about this case, especially if you don't put Justin Baldoni in the picture, then it's kind of like people aren't going to hear the updates for the Wayfarer side, maybe. So I think that has a little bit to do with it. But then you have like the TMZs who are clearly taking talking points from Blake Lively's, PR people who just slam Justin Baldoni and don't even put Blake Lively in the picture. I'm like, well, you have another avenue there. You could just say, hi, Leslie Sloan reached out to me and asked me to tell you this about Justin Baldoni. You know what I mean? Like they could put Blake Lively in the headline and they would do just fine. So it's a little, I feel like it's a little, there's a line there, maybe.
Now this next slide is what I found interesting. Especially if you want like the highlights of the expert reports and you don't want to read all those pages. So one of the experts, Marks, said that Blake Lively is projected to lose $132 million over the next 5 years. Well, then the defendant's Fabian attorney says in the last 8 years, she's earned 21 million across 4 films. How is it that we go from 21 million for 8 years to 132 million over the next 5 years? Like that number does not make sense. So that was quite impactful. And I think part of the reason why the judge wants to talk to these 3.
I wish I had $132 million to lose. And if somebody projected me as losing $132 million in the next 5 years, like, well, then I guess I'm not putting up my $132 million. How about that? Now I can't use it.
I was just looking at, because I just Googled how much did Blake Lively make from Gossip Girl, which was undoubtedly like the project she's most famous for. And yeah, it's a TV show versus a movie, but she was on it for what, like 6 seasons, a main character. And it says she made, and this might not be accurate, I'm just saying, this is a quick look. It said around $7 million for the entire run of Gossip Girl. And honestly, nobody's paying attention to her more than Gossip Girl than anything, if that makes sense.
But Google also said that I'm worth $50 million, and so it didn't say.
You're worth like 50. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to finish the
Do I sense a little tension here?
Do not trust the online projections, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So the discrepancy was quite jarring, and again, they just called it like really big assumptions, unrealistic. This is not reliable. This shouldn't be presented to the jury because of this. And also, the expert relied on Blake Lively working full time. And historically, and you know, she's voiced herself that she does not work full time. It's either her husband or her have a job, not at the same time, so not full time. So the projection is based on her working full time, and that's how they came up with this number of 132 million.
I just think she thinks she's Ellen Pompeo or something. I'm like, lady, lady, they can replace you.
Oh.
It's not that important.
Well, I mean, the full-time versus part-time matters a lot. And so when have you ever produced that much output that would justify that amount of income? And so we usually take, I mean, just family law cases, civil cases, we take the last 3 years of income and we just base it straight off of the numbers. What have you actually produced? What have you actually generated? Very seldom are we ever concerned about part-time versus full-time unless we're talking about family law, child support stuff, imputation of income, whatever. But yeah, that seems really optimistic. 132 million, huh? Right.
Yes.
And
35 million projected on the sequel to It Ends With Us. So it starts with us. And they were like, there would be no world in where the defendant and Blake Lively would ever work again together.
Who's paying her 35 million for the role, man? We'll go get Aubrey Plaza to replace her. How about that?
I don't know if Aubrey Plaza would be best for that role. Let me think about that.
I don't know. Who would be the one? Who
She's
would be
too
the one?
spicy. I don't know. I feel like Lily Bloom was a little boring.
Aubrey Plaza. You go the Sydney Sweeney. That was Dominic's favorite.
Nah, she wouldn't. Nah, not in this movie.
I mean, you know, she would be like, she's sort of like in the same vein of Blake Lively. She could be like she just got done playing Christy Martin. She's like a legit actress now.
Who?
I don't even know
Which one?
Yeah, you definitely didn't watch that movie. Christy Martin. She's like the female Mike Tyson. She played Christy Martin in that biopic. It was a really good movie. I liked it. You should watch it. I think it's on Netflix.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, so the defendants highlighted that Sony executives, you know, called Lively a terrorist. So there's just no, like, this assumption that she would have earned that just doesn't make sense because this project would have never happened. She would have never had that.
I still haven't watched the movie at all.
I mean, if you go to watch Trial, watch the movie. If you don't go to watch Trial, save yourself and don't watch the movie. I don't know. I watched it twice.
If I go to the trial, I think I'm just not going to watch the movie because no.
I don't know. I like to know what people are talking about. Like I like to know that I know the source material that they're talking about, if that makes sense. Like, so that I can form my own opinion. Like, wait a minute.
My wife was trying to get me to watch this show, Madison. And we watched the first couple of episodes and I was like, no, I'm not watching this. I'm putting my foot down. I'm not watching Madison. Here, we're going to watch Tulsa King. How about that?
Either one of those things is, so.
Well,
they're on HBO Max.
I will not watch the sequel to It Ends With Us if there is one. And so I'm skeptical.
There's not going to be a sequel. There's no fucking way. They sent the director to the basement. Anyways, moving on.
Does it make sense to you, Omar, that the plaintiff would want to know if the jury, like when they're being asked the questions, if they have seen the movie or if they know about this, like Blake Lively's attorneys wanted or want to be more specific in the questions before the hardship. They want to know if there's any views that they have. So they wanted to ask, like, are you familiar with the book? Have you watched the movie? Do you know these celebrities? Does that make sense? Because I guess the defendants didn't feel any certain way about that. Like they don't want those questions.
Well, I think you're talking about jury selection, and jury selection is really, really complex. And some really overconfident attorneys think that they could game the system by getting the right jurors in the box. But the reality is jurors are unpredictable. And I think that I don't know what their strategy is. I think that if they think that people saw the movie, maybe they're Blake Lively fans and are more likely to rule in favor of her, to be more sympathetic towards her cause, or perhaps they prefer to have no knowledge of Blake Lively so that they could come in with a completely fresh take, so that in the off chance that there is some organic negative feeling towards Blake Lively, it's not going to spill in to the verdict. So they have to make a decision. And I don't know what it is, honestly. It's like either we want jurors that have no idea who Blake Lively is and have no reason to believe that she would have organically caused self-harm and the PR campaign itself, discrediting a smear campaign, or if they want Blake Lively fans or people who are aware of her career that know all of these things, and maybe they would give Blake Lively some grace and put the negative PR strictly on the defendants. They're going to have to decide for themselves. Personally, as a lawyer that's practiced 12 years, I've done criminal trials, I've done all these different kinds of trials. It doesn't fucking matter. They're not going to be able to, they don't have a crystal ball. They're not going to be able to personally hand select the jurors. They're going to get what they get. And, it's a crapshoot. Who knows?
Did you guys hear the take that they're trying to say that they want to ensure that the jury wasn't part of the smear?
I did hear that.
I assumed that I was hearing that wrong because I thought that was so stupid, but you would have to tell me you were there. So what was going on there?
Yeah, he was like, what if they were partaking in, or they were how did he word it? Like partaking in or participating in this thing. Like we need to know, we need to find out. And I was like, wait, I thought you guys said it was inorganic. So why
what if Lauren Neidih's on the jury? Oh shit.
Why would they be on the jury if this is all fake and made up?
The court reporter is JFC. I object.
Right. Well, what if an anti-Blake Lively Instagrammer is on the jury? Is that what we're getting at? Like,
yeah, they were like, they're gonna infect. They kept using that word over and over. They're gonna infect the rest of the jury with their strong views. Like essentially, they wanted to create this questionnaire to help them prior to seeing them in person so that they could not infect the rest of the jury with their views.
Sure. I heard that everyone in the greater Manhattan area is a Jed Wallace plant, so I'm not sure it's going to do much good to try to exclude people.
How reliable is your source?
Do we know how many peremptory challenges that the respective sides are getting?
Sorry?
Well, peremptory challenge is simply like you get to exclude a juror for no reason at all. Meaning, look, you usually have like a panel of jurors.
I don't like your tattoos. Is that good enough for?
But you don't even have to say this. Like, look, you could
just be like, I don't want you. Get out.
Just say, look, I would like to excuse a juror number 15 from the panel and thank them for participating. And then they're excused. No questions asked. But you only get like a limited amount. Usually it's 3. Have they discussed how many peremptory challenges each side gets?
No, they didn't discuss that. They didn't discuss because on the agenda, the joint letter that they sent, they said it was going to be discuss sequestering the jury. They didn't discuss that either.
They didn't discuss the sequestering?
Yeah, like that. The parties put that in the joint letter that they wanted to talk about that at this hearing. They didn't bring that up.
All right, fair enough. They'll bring it up pre-trial at the trial then.
Oh, but they are going to talk more about it at the end of the Daubert motion. So, Lauren, you may hear about that at the end of next week's hearing.
Next week, yeah.
Oh, perfect. So they already got it. They got it planned.
I haven't checked the docket, so I don't know if it's official, but that's what they said in court. Like they're going to try to schedule that for next Tuesday.
I'm not booking anything until I see something in writing.
In the docket, yeah.
I'm still like 20-80 that this is going to trial. 20% chance it's going to trial.
I am like 75-25 that it is. So
yeah, Omar, they added 3 more attorneys. Blake Lively is up to 19 attorneys as a plaintiff. Shit.
Oh, they're definitely going to trial.
And this is 19 attorneys, not including her family hive, Van Zandt, Blake Brown Beauty, or
Van Zandt is a broom closet, so that should narrow it down a little bit.
All those other attorneys are not even included in that number. It's just 19 to defend her stance.
Well, it's going to give us a lot to talk about. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, they're definitely going to trial. She's bringing in more attorneys. She ain't bringing them in to settle. I'll tell you that.
She brought 3 attorneys this week. 2 of them were at the hearing today, and they were actually part of the hearing. Like they were the ones that were answering the judge. So
What
two of
an
them.
insufferable
Okay.
see you next Tuesday.
But they looked excited. They look like they did all this work behind the scenes. They were
That is
excited.
a huge. I'm sure that is a huge opportunity for them. I'm sure they are excited. It's
It is not a
just
bad
sad that
gig.
they have a losing client.
Hey, if you get associated into a case like that, that's at the tail end, it's not a bad gig. You get to like get all of the accolades with none of the responsibility. I was going to put like the bulk of the responsibility on you at the tail end of trial prep. That's just how that goes.
Yeah.
So good for them. Good work if you can get it.
Before we move on, let me look at these really quick. Omar, this is for you.
Hello, Ms. Lauren and Miss. I can't even read my own name. Hello, Miss Lauren and
Yeah.
Omar. Hi, lovelies. It's Ricardo Holtz, our favorite Ricardo. Ricardo is one of my favorites. Thank you for the 2.
All right. Megan Ashley, thank you for being a member for 12 months. Thank you, Carol, for being there today. You are amazeballs.
Oh, thank you.
You're amazing.
Also, thank you, Megan, for the 5. Don't forget to like and subscribe to these badass babes. And yes, we put in the links to Omar and Carol in the chat mods. Thank you very much. CMBBY, thank you for the 5. Got to say, it's so great to be in this community. Marinka, thank you very much for the $5. As usual, thank you so much for this breakdown. Okay, so quick question. Do people already think Omar and Nick Offerman sound alike, or is it just me?
Wait, which one is Nick Offerman?
Wait, I want to make sure he's who I think it is. No, it's not. Oh, no, it is. Okay, good. Yeah, it's the guy from Parks and Rec. Was it Ron Swanson?
Ron Swanson.
Yeah. Vaguely, yes, but not quite. Not quite.
I feel like I'm going to be offended if I look this up. Who's Ron Swanson?
Oh my God, how do you not know who Ron Swanson? Carol, do you know who Ron Swanson
I
is?
feel like I know who he is, but I'm not completely sure. I don't know. Hey, who's Ron Swanson? She doesn't
someone
know.
who sounds like you. Sarah Salazar, thank you for the 5.
That guy? I'm that guy? Oh, I'm definitely that guy.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Yeah. You need to grow a mustache, though.
I know.
Like a real mustache.
Oh. I sound like him? Does he sound like me, or do I sound like him?
I don't think you. I think it's your tone. It's not your voice. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, like my dialect.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Anyways, let's move on here. What are we looking at now?
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions in the comments about anything about today that you guys want to cover?
Well, I mean, other than these pre-trials, I mean, they're not very. They're people put. I don't know how much people are putting into the importance of today's hearing, but it's literally just setting the ground rules for what's going to happen at the end of May or May 18th. Is that the trial date? May 18th or May 28th?
Yeah.
May 18th? Yeah. And so it's nobody's winning or losing. We're just finding out what this trial is going to be about. And I don't know why I felt the need to say that, but I did. How about that?
Well, interestingly enough, a lot of the press had left by the break time. Like there was only like a few press members left. Left in the press box. Yeah. They were just like at break. They were like, see you later. And then after the break, he was like, oh, I actually made a decision on a motion. So maybe it would have been interesting for them to stay.
What was that?
Like interesting angles to take for like tonight's shows. Like, hey, did you know that Justin Baldoni is no longer a defendant? Like,
yeah, they know we're going to say that.
All the rest of it was like they're arguing about like prospective damages and expert testimony and stuff like that. I don't know, man. And there's not going to be many significant rulings at this hearing, and so. But we're prepping. I think the most compelling thing that I've heard is that Blake Lively hired more lawyers, and now I'm of the opinion that 90-10 we're going to trial.
My friend Short Stories But Long asks anything about Dr. Freed's testimony being admissible. Did Judge Lyman say anything about that, or did he just say he was going to rule on the limine soon?
The only experts talked about were Kinrich, Marks, Maislin, Aaron Cullotta, Nicole Alexander. And then the 3 that he wants to follow up on is Aaron Cullotta, Maislin, and Nicole Alexander.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were they saying about AI stuff? They were talking about AI stuff today.
Yeah. So the judge said something about AI, the use of AI, and if humans could do this job. Hold on, let me get to that point.
Sure.
Let me see.
And for those of you who don't know, Dr. Freed was the Darvo expert. She's the woman who coined the term Darvo, but she's not a psychiatrist or a licensed psychologist or a licensed therapist. She is a trauma researcher, which doesn't mean that she can't do any good. I'm not saying that she's not good at her job. I'm saying that it was kind of, in my view, inappropriate for a trauma researcher to make definitive claims of abuse by parties she had never met. She never interviewed Blake Lively or anyone else involved, never met them. As far as we can tell, I know that they said she never conducted any tests or clinical interviews. So that's a highly questionable thing to include, if you ask me.
Totally.
For sure.
You know what I just realized? May 18th, that's my wife's birthday.
Oh, well,
So
I got to skip trial then. I'm going to your wife's birthday party.
Can't go to New York.
What's up?
I probably definitely can't go to New York now.
Whatever,
Oh,
man.
man.
You could just take her with you.
Maybe.
Yeah. Happy birthday, wifey. Let's go sit in court.
You're gonna be 40. I've had to I used to tell her that she expired when she turned 30. But I've had to raise the date, like the Best Buy date. It's now 45, of which I am. And so I'm like, I am expired. I'm the expired one.
I keep forgetting how old you are. What are you, like 43?
No, I'm 45. I'm older.
No, you're
than
not.
you.
Are
Yeah.
you?
No, you're older than Jesus. I'm 45 years old.
Did you say I'm older than Jesus? I'm 33. What are you
Exactly.
talking about?
Well, didn't he die when he was 32?
Huh?
He was 32 when he was crucified, correct?
Last I check, I'm not dead yet, so Jesus lives, you know?
I'm just saying you're older than Jesus. How about that?
I don't fucking know. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Anyway, my wife is not expired. I am expired.
I think expired is putting it a little heavily. My
Well,
parents are still,
the
kicking and they're
best
okay. So
The
I think
best
you're okay
buy
for another 30 years.
is questionable. How about that?
There's no ageism, Lauren. Guys, I don't hate grandmas. No matter what anyone says, I don't hate grandmas.
She really doesn't hate grandmas. I know that.
I really don't hate grandmas. I live amongst them. I'm their friend. I talk to them and their dogs. Sometimes I help them when they have questions about the interweb. Okay? I don't hate grandmas.
Guys, I can't find my notes where it says AI. I'm like, I know I put AI somewhere in here.
Justice.
Honestly, if it's
I think
too much,
I'm probably at my end of my gas tank is probably at E. It's almost like
if it pops into your head later, that's okay.
I
Don't worry.
probably have already passed it up several times, and I'm like,
Honestly, don't worry about it. It's
If you
okay.
can't find it, it's probably insignificant.
yeah.
And
He just wanted to know, like, can this, like, he understands that humans could have done this job, but it's just easier to have AI do it. But he wants to kind of like to understand that use of AI. He did it like in two questions that he wanted answered, and that's why I was trying to look for my 2 points, but I can't even find them.
The judge had those questions.
Yeah, the judge had.
He
So
said
he was
AI
like-
could have done these things, but I appreciate people doing them.
So no, he said, like, in a task that normally humans could do, but AI is preferred, like, that's the question that he wants answered. Like, there's two things that he wanted answered in regards to AI, and that's what I'm trying to find, but I can't find.
You're trying to figure out if the AI is sufficient.
Yeah, like, oh, he said, okay, so that made me remember instructions of how the AI was instructed, and then one more thing, the instructions and the model. He wants to understand the model and the instructions of the AI for the tasks that humans could do, but that AI did in this
Okay.
case. Yeah.
That's an odd question.
Why? What do you think? What are you picking up that we're not picking up? Because
Well, I'm trying to understand the context. Like, what is he even talking? So AI did something, but humans should do it, but AI is preferred. I've never heard that said by a judge on the bench.
well, AI was used instead of humans doing the task, and so he's like, I need to understand the model and the instructions.
So is he trying to figure out? So a human did not do the analysis, and AI did of this. I'm assuming this is like the social media numbers. Okay, so an AI did this, and he wants to know, because a human you can ask very clearly and determine very clearly based on their report what exactly they did to come to their conclusions, but they want to know what the AI was instructed to look at and possibly overlook.
Yes, how they categorize.
Okay.
Like I think he said, how did they categorize and another C word? I can't remember.
Oh,
don't ask me for the other C word.
I was about to say no, Lauren.
Okay.
Categorize. Oh my God, guys, I'm sorry, I'm running.
It's
on
okay. I think I know what they were getting at. Hopefully I'm on track there. If not, I'll find out next week. So, yeah. It just sounds like they're probably trying to figure out what parameters the AI was using and what possibly was excluded or improperly included based on those parameters. Whereas like a human can account for those kinds of errors, but an AI is the AI is very strict in that it'll sometimes overlook things that are nuanced, maybe. And I'm just talking in general, not about this case, but like in general, AI might overlook something that's nuanced and not understand something like that where a human would. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it just sounds to me like they're trying to figure out what exactly the AI was doing.
So. Okay, so he put he wants a letter with 2 issues addressed: the use of AI for the purpose of characterization and classification of materials.
Okay.
This is not the only case that oh my God, my little scribbles, that relies on, again, to the characterization and the classification of materials, or something other than, I put something other than human or not. I put human or not, other than human or not. Examples. He wants examples of court cases.
Okay.
I guess where they use similarly, and testifying experts rely on.
Okay, I get it. So now that's an interesting question. So we're trying to decipher. It seems like it relates to the expert witnesses, to the extent that they're basing their expert opinions on AI.
Yes.
We want to know. And that's important, because if they're basing it on AI and you have competing experts, then all of those questions become relevant. That's different. Okay, so that's actually an interesting question. And it begs the question, like going forward, like how are we going to treat these AI analyses with respect to these experts? And there's necessarily going to be like this war between, I went to law school. When I went to law school, AI wasn't a thing. Like we wrote our own outlines. We learned law ourselves. And I was just having this whole talk with my wife. It's like people are writing these AI essays now. And like they're not learning how to just sit there with a pencil and paper and produce their own output. And how is that like compromising their future prospects to be able to function like as a person? And so now you got these AI persons that are purporting to be experts, but to what extent are they relying on artificial intelligence to fill in the blanks? And to that regard, how do we reclassify them? Are they necessarily an expert? They could stand alone as their own source, or should we just like make Claude the expert or Chat GPT the expert? Because if that's the case, then they can fuck off.
So it says that, this is not the only case that the expert relies on characterization and classification of material, something other than human or not. It says the court cases, the test is okay, I'm gonna skip that one because my notes are so busy, but it says learning model. What is the classification, the characterization in AI, and the error rate is what he wants to know. He said get case law, and it says it showed not to make categorically different, rely on AI versus human to sort through data, but the error rate and instructions matter, is what the judge said.
So in other words, why is this important? Because experts have huge leeway to just basically say whatever they want without repercussion. And we're sort of supposed to accept them as an expert and take what they are saying as like dicta. And if they're relying on AI and they haven't done their own independent research or published anything independent of AI, then why are they an expert? Should they even qualify? That matters, because if the bulk of what they have to say was AI generated, and they shouldn't be designated as an expert, because we could just do an AI Claude search ourselves. And if that's the case, then you can tell your expert to see you next Tuesday. How about that?
Well, as long as Claude is taking its meds, because AI likes to hallucinate.
Exactly. So in other words, they're not an expert. You've conjured this from artificial intelligence, which means you're not an expert, which means you're no better than the law clerks sitting to my right.
Which of the 27 law clerks that they have present?
Well, let's just think that you're no better than the bailiff sitting here, checking the ESPN for fantasy football stats.
Fantasy lawsuit.
Totally.
We can do that. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. I know there was something else that came up. I'm rolling through this Twitter thread right now. I'm trying to get a reminder of what it was I wanted to ask.
Oh, you can remove the slide.
You don't want it anymore? Okay.
No.
All right, let me.
Yeah, guys, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section and Lauren will catch them.
I have no questions. I have all the answers.
Okay.
Or no answers at all, depending on which perspective.
Okay, I'm just going through what the inner city guy wrote today. I think he's been doing this for years and years. This inner city press guy, he's really good. He goes to like all the major trials and he live tweets them. So if you guys haven't seen him yet, you should check him out. I know he's on Blue Sky also. I don't know if he's on YouTube or anywhere else, but I've seen him always on X. Let's see.
Totally.
I think he was sitting somewhere watching this from somewhere because he wasn't there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that we were chatting about that with Rick that was on Popcorn Planet. We're like, we don't see him in the actual courtroom, so he must be either.
Okay.
And I think Katie mentioned, he was like, oh yeah, I think I did research. He sits in the security guard's office or some. You could tell maybe I wasn't that checked into the conversation, but I didn't.
Well, whatever he does is helpful to us who are reading. So
yeah, but he gets to like see it, so he gets to see it and do his best to tweet it for us.
Yeah.
Did somebody try to steal my catchphrase, evidence laundering, today in court?
Yes, I think they did.
Of ARC?
I think they did.
Really? That's crazy.
Didn't they say that Wayfarer was laundering statements in through the sham lawsuit or whatever?
Yeah, about the lawsuit that they filed, and that was Mike Gottlieb's argument about.
That makes me a little bit shy, man.
You helped him out. I don't know. Is that on purpose?
It totally was
on purpose. It was, but
Omar's a plant.
Animal plants. We're all plants.
Yeah. So what about this 47.1 stuff? I don't know if Omar, if you saw this at all. Blake Lively, she had that case against Jed Wallace, or Jed Wallace filed against her in Texas. Jed was dismissed from her New York case. She was dismissed from Jed's Texas case. Both of them dismissed based on jurisdictional issues. But Blake Lively's trying to use the 47.1 law against Jed Wallace for her being dismissed in his Texas lawsuit, which he hasn't appealed yet. But she's trying to say that he should owe her treble damages based on a retaliatory defamation lawsuit, even though she's never met or spoken to him and he did not sexually harass her at all whatsoever.
Okay. I got a lot to say about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Without reading further, having reviewed the 47.1 language carefully and studied it over the last 8 or 9 months or so, there is nothing in 47.1 that would attach Sarowitz to any kind of 47.1 liability. That's usually reserved to the person that is responsible for the sexual harassment.
Well, this one's Wallace, but it's same kind of principle.
Wallace, yeah. What is Wallace's tie into sexual harassment? Like, how would he have been liable for her claims of sexual harassment? That would be the only tie-in, and that would be the legal argument.
Would that be frivolous of her to even bring this motion?
Because, arguably no, because there's no case law on it. But the point is, if she's trying to attach 47.1 liability, what she's saying is Jed Wallace is somehow affected by the sexual harassment lawsuit that she lodged against Justin Baldoni, which, by the way, no longer exists, such that he would have effectuated a lawsuit against her in retaliation, subjecting him to treble damages. Now, I don't know any language in 47.1 that would support that, and there's certainly no case law on it. So I don't know if it's frivolous, but as soon as there's a ruling here definitively enough, then it may become frivolous in the future. All I'm saying is, I don't think there's any merit to that argument. I would have to read what it is that she's arguing to try to bring liability to Wallace on that front.
Your brother finally made it to a live.
Miguel, what's up, buddy? He texted me the other day, and I waited he texted me something, and it was like a week and a half later. I think he asked me how I was doing. I was like, I'm doing great. Why don't you come over?
I'm good now.
So I'm not dead. And then he's like, when are you free? I was like, the weekends, obviously. Come over whenever.
Yeah.
Someone said Omar has a brother.
Is two, right?
Well, one's gay and the other's married.
I mean, they're still your brothers, though, right? No. Trina asked, what was the motion that was ruled on? I think we kind of touched on this earlier. We didn't really talk about it too much. Carol, if you could explain.
What happened? Sorry,
what was the motion that was ruled on?
So Lively motioned in docket 1362 that she did not want Wayfarer to argue same decision or mixed motive affirmative defenses because they did not put that in their answers and they shouldn't be allowed to use it now. And the judge says, I'm going to deny that because you've had plenty of ample time. I'm off the cuff. I'm not reading this verbatim, but he essentially said, like, you had time to argue these things. You knew that they were going to come up with these arguments. And anyways, I'm denying it. While I pull it up, but that's the gist.
Okay, cool.
I completely winged out on that whole, don't ask me anything.
Neat. Okay. No, I'm confused. What was the mixed motive thing about? Do you remember?
Yes, because they're bringing that up as an affirmative defense now, saying there's other reasons why we could have done PR, right. Not necessarily retaliated. And Lively's like, no, you can't bring that up because you didn't bring it up in the answers. But the judge said you've been on ample notice that's their perception or their view of things is that Lively was trying to take over the movie and all this stuff. So
it's come up like a million times, even if it wasn't explicitly lined out in their answer, it has been brought up like 1,000 times.
So that's what he said. He's like, you've been put sufficiently on notice. I'm not going to grant that. So he's
not new information.
This is not new. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that was really good for Wayfarer that he did that.
Okay, cool. Did you see anything that you thought you heard him say, and you were like, that's really bad for Wayfarer?
No, this is actually the first one that I'm like, oh, it didn't feel like that was bad for them. They were really, the Wayfarer team really came in very concise in their arguments. I pointed out that Ellen in one of her presentations, like she just took 5 minutes. She had 15 minutes and she was like, here's, why say lot word when few words do trick.
Okay, Kevin.
Ellen did exactly that.
Yeah.
Like she came in, used 5 minutes of her 10 minutes because she wanted to split it by 10 and 5 for rebuttal.
Yeah. And
then even in her rebuttal, she only used like 5 minutes and she was like, I said what I said and there.
Yeah.
It addresses the issues. So I don't remember anything being like, ooh, that does not sound good for Wayfarer. Everything sounded like he was like leaning towards not granting this 47.1. Mike Gottlieb got a lot of pushback on that. And then with the motion denied, it just felt like things kind of lining up positively. The only thing was, and Omar, you may be able to like give people a little more understanding because I don't understand it, but I'll just say what was said. The judge was like, Wayfarer team, you guys have to stipulate,
right?
Stipulate, yes. Mm-hmm. Stipulate. Thanks, Lauren. You guys have to stipulate whether you guys are gonna like accept like that SH was a protected activity, like was stipulate if there was protected activity, or your stance is going to be defending that there was not protected activity. And he told Wayfarer, like, I need you to decide before I decide on the Daubert motions. And that kind of felt like a catch-22 situation, because it's
It
like,
is.
okay, yeah, can you explain that a little bit more?
Because number one, if they accept SH as a protected activity that's relevant in this case, then that means they get to cross-examine Blake Lively on the ridiculousness of of those claims. If they don't stipulate to that and they leave it up to the judge, then they're risking basically castrating their cross-examine of Blake Lively when the time comes. And so they have to make a strategic decision. Are we going to allow them to talk about sexual harassment stuff? Because if that's fair game and they get to cross-examine about it, then great. Then they get to bring up all of the things that they have been prepping for, going all the way back to January of 2025, when they released that website about all the ridiculousness of the sexual harassment claims. And that gets back into the salaciousness of this lawsuit and all the things that Justin Baldoni, being in the lawsuit, made this case so popular. Now you take that out and you kind of got a huge part of their ability to destroy Blake Lively's credibility. And so it's a strategic decision on their part. Do they oppose this or not?
Would you say you would want to oppose it, or you would want to be on the, like, hey, I'd like to defend that?
I was saying when after the MSJ, now the sexual harassment stuff is out, maybe that might be a bad thing. I mean, they kept in the retaliation, but part of the retaliation is because of her claims of SH. But if you leave in that stuff and you keep it relevant, number one, does that affect liability under 47.1? And number two, how does that affect our ability to cross-examine Blake Lively when the time comes for trial? Strategically, they can keep it out, but do they want to keep it out? Especially if there is a jury there that is going to necessarily be evaluating the evidence. And so they got to make a decision. Yes, they could potentially keep out any references to sexual harassment, but do they want to? And that's a fascinating discussion.
And so one of the questions from the people in the comment section, it's, but why is stipulating even being asked of them?
Because if they were to bring it up and there was no stipulation, then it's going to be objected to. At trial, there's going to be a motion in limine that the judge is going to have to rule on. And then he's going to have to decide whether or not references to sexual harassment at the time the questions come in at trial are objectable or not. And, that just slows things down and it leaves things uncertain. The whole purpose of these pretrial conferences is to set the ground rules so that we know that what we're going to be able to get in. And it helps your preparation. Like if you know you're going to have a whole cross-examination of Blake Lively with respect to sexual harassment stuff, that changes things as opposed to being, maybe comes in, maybe it doesn't. And so it helps in preparation and it helps take away some of the guessing game that goes on when you're crafting cross-examination, direct examination. And so, yeah, they got to make a call. Do you want to stand on this hill that sexual harassment was not protected activity that is legally cognizable in this complaint, such that it shouldn't be allowed into trial evidence at all because it would confuse the jury? Or do we let them bring it in and hang themselves and give us the avenue to destroy her credibility based on her unreasonableness? That is a strategy decision, and they got a lot to think about with that.
Well, Lauren, you were at the hearing on January 22nd. Right. And I remember the judge saying that he's like, there is no question that the defendants were like knew about the complaint. So I think the judge would rule that there was protected activity because of that statement. That statement kind of stuck with me. I don't know if you remember it.
I mean, I guess
you have to keep in mind too, because they still have to rule on the 12B motion, right?
Oh, the MJOP. Yeah, it sounded like he was probably not gonna go through with that, right? Or is that was what I gathered? It sounded like he was not.
He didn't bring that up today. He didn't bring it up.
Based on the questions, I heard based on the questions about the stipulation, it sounded like he was probably not going to grant that. But that's total third party information on my part. I'm just relaying information that I read. So
well, that would necessarily stem or be decided on whether or not there was protective activity that occurred in California or not, or whether or not it's arguable for them to say that protected activity happened in California as opposed to New Jersey, meaning the inception happened in California, and that would give rise to the retaliation claims. Without that, retaliation is out and we're strictly on breach of contract.
Right.
And so that's another thing. Do we want, it's the reason why I was skeptical about maybe they won't bring an MSJ, because maybe they just want all the stuff in because it gives us so much material on cross-examination. Similarly, if they go forward with this 12BJ argument or the motion to dismiss argument, the only reason it survived MSJ was because Blake Lively made the smallest of cases that the retaliation or the protected activity originated in California. Without that, it doesn't survive the Rule 12 motion. Therefore, if they prevail on that, great. Now we're only talking about breach of contract stuff. But is that necessarily what we want? Because we want, like, their huge leverage in this case is, I think that they know that Blake Lively does not want to be cross-examined if she could at all avoid it. And so their big bargaining chip is, oh, we're going to kick your ass on the stand. Get your ass up there. Go ahead. No, we're not objecting shit. We're not, you know what? Leave it all in. Leave it all in. That was one move, yet we still have these pending motions. Now, if Judge Lyman is leaning towards not granting that motion, then great. That gives them a huge tool to go into those things because now it's all relevant. So what was the inception of this retaliation campaign? And if they get to talk about all of the things like, oh, well, he took liberties in the kissing scene with me when there was like nudity writer contracts. Okay, well, what about the other 9 instances where you, without prompting, initiated things that were also not in the nudity writer yourself, that were on video in 4K in living color? Because that's coming up with the jury. And then we're going to let the jury decide about who's being unreasonable, who's not. Now, without being able to say that or cross-examine Lively on the SH stuff, you don't get to get into any of that stuff. And it makes it a far less interesting trial, and it gives the Baldoni parties or the Wayfarer parties much less ammunition to work with.
Well, they have to make a decision by tomorrow. I think they said at 6 or 5.
Okay.
I'm going to look at my...
They're going to leave it in.
Yeah, I think they will. I think that's the only way you show also how, like you said, unreasonable she was.
Look, this whole thing has been almost as much about press as it has been about the law, if not more. And I think that after all of this time and the however many thousands of hours she said of footage that she got from them, because she got every bit of footage they got from the film, she has not been able to provide any proof of her claims that he was like doing weird, creepy kissing stuff and sniffing her neck up and down and like biting her lip. And she included that dance scene footage, like 3 different angles, which I can never unsee. And even though it was dumb enough the first time. And he has, an abundance of footage that shows that she, in fact, initiated unscripted and non-consensual kissing and intimacy on him, whereas she has no proof that he actually did that to her. So I think that would be a huge, backfire for her if they were to bring that forward. However, it would, I guess, sort of simplify things in the way that it would make the case shorter if they did stipulate to that. But still, it's like, as far as the press aspect goes and actually showing that she was not truthful in her complaint, they can't stipulate to that.
Oh, so. I could just see the dance scene. Don't smell me, Blake. Blake, stop smelling me.
No, she had like some sort of scented, I don't know if it's spray tan or what was it on. And then so she said, sorry, I probably got my spray on you. And he said, oh, it's okay. It smells good or whatever. But she described in her complaints that he was like sniffing slowly along her neck and said, you smell so good. You know what I mean?
Ain't nobody trying to sniff sweat and patchouli, man. It's not no.
Who's got patchouli?
If she's getting those spray tans, she smells like sweat and patchouli.
Oh man, I don't know if it was actually a spray tan. It might have just been a body spray or something. I can't really remember at the moment. I'm trying to forget that footage, to be honest. So,
well,
the 5 different angles that we got of the same footage, and nothing told us nothing new about it.
I felt less convinced each time that she was wronged somehow. So,
what a good one.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any other major questions you guys saw in the chat, but it is about 1 a.m. here, so I'm gonna have to take off pretty soon.
Yeah. Same here. I'm so tired. So I really appreciate you having me and sharing your platform with me.
Oh yeah, thanks for joining us. And mods, again, please feel free to post Carol's link again. I'll pin it in the chat for people who are watching on replay as well. To subscribe to Carol's docket updates. Not only her channel, but she has a website. She put together a whole website where she puts stuff on there. So
yeah,
thank you for taking the time.
All the updates for today, guys, I have not put those in. I'm so tired.
What do you mean? You have? Oh my God! I'm sorry.
I work full time for Jed Wallace's team. No,
I knew it.
oh God, 132 million. Oh.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming on. I'm gonna call it, I guess, here, and we'll talk to all you guys in the chat later. Thanks.
But just so everybody knows, I have no idea what spray tan sounds like. I just imagine it smells like sweat and patchouli. So I apologize if you spray tan yourself. I don't know what you smell like.
You don't even try to walk that back now. We all know. he puts spray tan on his sandwiches.
Sometimes.
All right. All right. Bye, everybody.
I'll share more about once I finish going through my presentation, I'll put that on my channel. Yeah. If you guys want to follow, that'd be great.
Sweet.
Thank you. All right, bye, Lauren. Bye, Omar. Nice chatting with you.
Trina, thank you for the 10 at the last second there. The thought process is that Steve is paying the lawyer fees for Wayfarer. Is there an instance where Lively's side could force the disclosure of who is paying for Wayfarer's attorneys?
They did. In the deposition, they asked Jamie Heath.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And they said it was Steve Sarowitz.
So I guess it's already up there. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.